Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited to be the moderator of the first panel called Safety in Distance Learning. We will focus on safe technologies at the systematic or state level. And I'm very thrilled to welcome three panelists, Julia Szymanska from Avast, Fabienne Benetu from the European Parliament, and Lucie Kosova from the National Cyber and Information Security Agency. First, I will introduce and get to all of the panelists. I will pose them some questions, and in the meantime, please feel free to pose any question in the chat, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So I would like to start with Julia. Hello, Julia. How are you?
Hi, hello. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very well, thank you.
You're an Avast expert on children's safety online, and you're Be Safe Online ambassador. Would you introduce yourself and explain what Avast as a company does, and what exactly is Be Safe project, Be Safe Online project?
Yes, of course. Be Safe Online is a non-commercial educational project that aims on children roughly in the age of 10-14. We established the program 4 years ago and continue ever since with a different variation of it. We're quite ahead of the times because last year, before the pandemics hit, we decided to go online and introduce the online course, interactive free course for children that was co-created with their input and also input of the influencers, local Czech and Slovaks. And this is the platform for us to educate children about how to act safely online. And on the daily basis, we run social media communication with the children and check on a daily basis what are the issues, gather the feedback, make sure that we are responding to them, give them tips, etc.
Lovely, thank you very much. Do you know how many children has gone through your Be Safe Online?
Yes, we actually hit the milestone that we are very proud of. It's 40,000 children within less than a year, and that is children in Czech Republic, in Slovakia. So it is roughly 6% of the population of the children we are aiming to in Czech Republic and 2% in Slovakia. So I think that is quite a nice exposure, and most importantly, children love it. It's an interactive course, so they can give us feedback, and it's because it was co-created by the influencers and they could have their input. So it's actually the tool that is really shaped up for the children.
Yeah. I've seen it. It's really well done. Thank you very much. And I will pass to our second panelist, Fabienne Benetu. He is a consultant in the European Parliament and at the same time technical advisor for UNICEF Innovation Fund. Fabienne, hello.
Hello.
Would you present yourself and would you present your work you do in the Parliament and for UNICEF?
With pleasure. So thanks for having me. I work at the European Parliament Innovation Lab with a double mission. Number one is to trust emerging technologies, particularly virtual reality and augmented reality, because there is a lot of marketing on how those could revolutionize everything, the way we live, the way we teach, the way we go out in the world. So we try to estimate if it is actually the case, and if it's the case, what is the legal framework that could be ensuring that we do it the right way, and especially with contexts that are sensitive, for example, in terms of privacy, security, and of course even more with children. And we challenge also how it could change the workflow at the European Parliament. For UNICEF, for the Innovation Fund, as a technical advisor, I support startups that are going to help children. It is usually in education, but it could be in any way, for example, in terms of vaccination, how they can have all the paperwork needed. For example, you can't get vaccinated with an ID card. So how you can help, let's say, caregivers to help to support them. And before helping those startups with $100,000 per startup with 1 year of support, we need to select them. So I help to evaluate if they have an actual novel technical solution.
Lovely, thank you very much. And I will pass to our third panelist, Lucie Kosová. She is a long-term education and prevention specialist, and she works in education department of the Czech National Cyber and Information Security Agency. Lucy, we know each other quite well. Would you introduce you? So what you do and how you help teachers and public in order to security?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today and to share your experience in the field of digital skills and cybersecurity. I'm coming to you from National Officer for Cyber and Information Security of Czech Republic, especially from Department of Education Unit. According to the Cybersecurity Act, our department primarily focused on prevention, education, and methodological support in the field of cyber and information security. Our main target groups are government officials, cybersecurity experts and IT specialists, education and prevention employees, mostly teachers and school headmasters, and last but not least, people at particular risks in cyberspace. NUKIP create online course as the basic of cybersecurity, Give Cyber, and course basic of safety behavior in cyberspace, safely in cyber, and also an important set of recommendation for users, for managements, parents and children, for example, play safely. To support distance learning, we had a panel discussion in cooperation with the Ministry of Education. Thank you very much. This about digital education and cybersecurity of children.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, thank you. The first topic I would like to open our skills. I think all of our panelists have opinions about it. Who should we support regarding skills, digital skills, in order to be safe online? And how should we do that? I think maybe Julia can answer the first question.
Mm-hmm. Who, right? Is the first part,
who, yeah. And then how?
So we believe in the holistic approach, meaning that it should be sort of ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Our focus is on children, but we see really that educating children is one step, but providing teachers and parents with same type of education, at least on the ground level in terms of online safety and privacy, is absolutely essential. First of all, children are born to the digital world. This is uninevitable for them. So they can be very often quite technology skilled, but they are lacking some guidelines, also very often on the soft skills level. So they might be easily learning how to set up a secure account and two-step verification because they are very used to these digital technologies. Yet there is this aspect of the communication and privacy. This is something where they should work together with the parents and be able to address it together. So what we definitely believe is like long-term programs, ongoing education that will be aiming all three groups. And I would like to support what Mr. Lelovsky mentioned. This motivational element is very important, especially for adult groups in that case, we talk very often about stepping out of your comfort zone, of teachers and parents that have to admit that they not always understand the technologies and are willing to learn new skills. So it's a complex process. It's not only teaching people the technology, but also getting them to have different mindset.
Mm-hmm. And do you have some ideas how to approach parents? Because, for example, in the ministry's point of view, for us it's very, very difficult to approach them because we don't have direct connection with them. We are trying to do so, for example, with the panel discussion we had that Lucy mentioned. It was specifically for parents because we know how it's important. How do you think it's possible to approach them, because it's very difficult?
I admit it is very difficult. We also struggle with it within our program, because one of the thought we had in mind is to extend our program to the parents. Yet we were not sure how to approach this group. I think there are several methods, right? It is, again, I'm coming back to the term of the ecosystem, when I think that we can start teaching parents for children. This is if we are able to create a platform, educational platform, where both of them, it can be playful, it can be something that they can do together. This is one way. I believe school can be also a sort of communication platform, if I can say, create a community for the parents, and all the private sector like us, we are trying to use our know-how. We are trying to address the topic through the mass media. For example, via researches that we are making, and address it with ongoing communication on different levels, such as podcasts, such as blog posts. It's something that it is not one-time campaign. It is a really ongoing process.
Yes, it's true. Maybe some influencers can be also used for parents, because it's the same for children, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I believe more voices meet here. And one of the key elements we learn is you should always look for the early adopters, people that will be going to follow you and then spread their knowledge in the community. This will work for everyone, children, parents, and teachers. So yeah, it's an extensive collaboration between different involved groups that we are gathering here together. This is exactly who should start this conversation, and it will be definitely an ongoing multi-platform communication.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that might be also a topic for the European platform for digital skills, jobs and skills.
Absolutely.
Just one quick question. Would you quickly remind the address, the website, how people can find the course?
Yes, it is in Czech, so maybe I would share it in the chat. That will be easier. And the platform is currently available in Czech and Slovak. So I will type it in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot for your views on skills. I think you are right that we should approach holistically to it, and not to forget about parents, teachers, and pupils. And I think it's good to support schools' role as a community center, let's say.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. And maybe Lucia, would you like to add something, or what do you think about the what Julia just said?
I think in the Czech Republic we have effective cybersecurity tools, preventive projects, and campaigns, but they exist separately under various institutions and organizations. That's why what we need for school a good security of their infrastructure, security audits as a starting points, basic recommendation for network security and for the security of online education. In my opinion, we need a unified centralized environmental or ecosystem where all materials and examples for cybersecurity will come together. Personally, I consider it absolutely necessary to have resources and examples available, good and less good practice. Parameters, technical security, school infrastructure and centralized online platforms, tools of AI, to education strategy, framework, education program, school education programs, and preventive protection, preventive action and activities, methodological support in cyber and information security. This sets standards for increasing education and awareness in the field of digital competencies, cybersecurity. I'm very glad that in the Czech Republic, within the distance learning, it's now possible to unity the teaching online platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's true that the system can be perfectly safe, but someone lets the users there, you know, because the majority, the statistics I've seen is that the majority of attacks in schools are for example, ransomware. And it's also always, or in the most cases, caused by the users themselves because they click on something they shouldn't, etc., etc. Fabian, it brings me to you. What do you think the system, a safe system, should look like? And secondly, do you think a state like the Czech Republic or others should interfere in it? What do you think the role of the state is here?
To start from the last question, I think the state should always interfere. I don't think interfere is the right word, but at least provide a legal framework, because it's important to highlight the intention of the different actors, and for-profit companies, and it's not a taboo word, are there to make profit. If it's not done within the respect of users, I mean, we've seen time and time again, just self-regulation doesn't work. The different actors are going to do whatever they can in order to extract maximum amount of profit. That's why that's one of the rules of the states, to be able to make sure that it is done in a way that is conducive for society overall, and especially for actors that don't have the power to fight for themselves. I mean, for children, it's so obvious. I don't even have to argue for this. But I think one part that is important in terms of this system is to see privacy or security from whom. So you gave some different examples with, let's say, hijacking a click, and you have some malicious actors that are, I mean, relatively easy to understand if we think of black hackers that are going to use ransomware to block some data from, let's say, a school or the company that is going. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and I think we all have, and I don't think it's a waste of skills to learn this at whatever age, because we rely more and more on informatics system. We need to have some hygiene, basically, on how we manage our practices, being learning or anything. That's we go to the bank, we don't go physically to the bank, we go online. So we need to know from the youngest age on how to handle those devices. But one thing that is often, I think, let's say, misunderstood is that you don't have to be a malicious actor to challenge privacy. And for this, I mean, I have, just to say a name, I'll mention Facebook, where the business model of the company is to transform the privacy of the user to future behavior through advertisement. And the problem is a lot of the chat that students will have together, or even sometimes with a teacher or with a professor, will be through tools that are done by that for-profit company. So if you use WhatsApp, if you use Facebook Messenger, if you use all those tools, they are technically really good and they're actually safe. I mean, in terms of preserving the privacy against an attacker, I think they have some amazing security engineers that are going to protect, let's say, using encryption. But again, it's against whom? Because it's obviously not Facebook against itself. So I think it's very important then to be able to identify who is challenging privacy, who is challenging safety. And I think for this, there is actually already research on who must understand it. And I think when, or rather, research shows that when children understand how those different actors have access to basically the entire history of the entire chat with everybody they spoke with, then the behavior change. Then it's okay. Is that normal? Is that fair? And I think the trust is then completely different. The different actors involved in the chat are, let's say, understood, maybe not as always non-benevolent, not benevolent, but at least that they are themselves to be cautious against.
Yeah, and we're back at skills, I guess, because it's important for everyone to understand what these platforms use and what they do with their algorithms. So
Yes.
yeah, it's true. But still, I was wondering, and our audience can also ask any question in the chat. You say that the state should be preoccupied what's going on the online platforms which are run by giants like Microsoft, Google, etc. But do you think it's possible? Because as we know, state is quite slow. You know, it's a kind of rigid system. That's why I'm glad that GDPR was adopted, and it was quite a breakthrough, and we started the conversation. But how do you think the state should like preoccupied, and what do you think the state should do exactly? Like how can we ensure that?
So I don't agree. I don't think the state is so slow. I think that's actually a stereotype. Of course, it could be slower. Of course, there could be more resource dedicated and act more promptly. But I don't think the state is so slow. The thing is, the state, once it makes, or a supranational entity, once it makes a decision, it's a rule that's going to be applied everywhere, and there is going to be a lot of consequences. So it's not a trivial action. It's not like pushing a software update, and then if you make a mistake, you just revert it. So that I think there are a lot of consideration to be had, but I think the state as being slow is probably not a good message to share. And just to give a couple of examples, a lot of research that led to the web, a lot of research that led to the typical iPhone was actually funded by the state. So the state as a non-technical aware actor that is slow, I think it's not necessarily, it's just not true. It could be slower, could know more, but the state funds research, state-of-the-art research. What could be done exactly? I mean, it's going to be pretty boring, but more education. Again, it's going back to the hygiene on our behavior. I think that's probably what I would personally suggest. I don't necessarily. I think GDPR, even though the flow it has, it led the way, and I think it is one of the, even though imperfect, I think it's a wave that is propagating through non-European actors also, as we've seen. But I think that's probably, I mean, it's basically anything you do now processing data, if you want to set up a camera here in Belgium in front of your door, you need to go through GDPR, you need to record in a registry what you're going to do. I think these kind of practices are good for everyone, because if you set up any kind of website, let's say a Moodle, where you're going to teach electronics, then you think who is going to use that information, where is it going to be processed, and if you do anything fancy, let's say some artificial intelligence to do some computer vision on some circuit, then am I going to forward some data to, let's say, Microsoft, to Amazon? And I think this very process, that's the kind of education every actor in the system, somebody who is designing the course, a student who is going to say, okay, when I click on this button, I save the answer to that questionnaire. Where is it? Is it going in the cloud, some kind of abstract entity, or is it going on an Amazon server located in Ireland, blah, blah, blah. So I think this is the wave of impact it's going to have. And I think we're still all basically processing it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. These are very, very important insights regarding the slow state. Well, I don't want to argue, but I think it's still slower than the technological advances and dynamics. But we can leave this this conversation for later, so not to argue here. But maybe, Lucia, do you have any opinion on what just Fabian said? What do you think the role of the state is, and how do you perceive it?
Thank you very much. Yes, I think state and countries should infrastructure and digital education solutions. At first vision in the Czech Republic security, we need at the state level central system, like a personal homepage for keywords such as child porn, or areas like extremism, hate crime. Second, create a general scale, right and safe, and setting binding security rules, recommendations, instructions, security audits, crisis plans, monitoring of systems, analysis of risks. Creator and users should all participate in the process, increase cybersecurity skills, provide support, and we need human resources, experts. I think it's necessary. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We are slowly going to the end of the first panel. Thank you very much all, but still we have a space for some questions. So audience, please do not hesitate to pose any, even though I have quite a long list. The last part I would like to focus on is the what part of where there is the space for digital coalitions. We have first we have talked about skills. I think Julia has posted really nice suggestions. But then, what are where is the space for digital coalitions regarding the systems? What do you think, Fabian? What is the role of digital coalitions regarding that issue?
Well, I think the challenge, for example, of using GDPR and understanding the impact, that kind of wave of impact, because it's hard, I wouldn't suggest to do it yourself. Like if I'm a teacher on my own and then I need to set up Moodle, everything, it's actually quite complicated. It's not infeasible, and if I'm really truly passionate, I could do it. But then even if I were to do it on my own, I would suggest to share the outcome with others, to say what are the lessons learned, and a couple of conferences, especially in France, on open source and free software in education, I think were great examples. I forgot the exact name of the conference, but I think it's the Les États du logiciel libre or something like this, where you have anybody from the state to teachers to students to also system administrator that share how they use free software or open source software to create their own solution. And I think that is a great example to see. It's even if people were not to use those specific solutions, it explains a little bit how the sausage is made. What is actually a piece of software used in a server, where is going which or what data. But I think it provides also an amount of freedom where anybody can build the curriculum or the tools to teach that curriculum the way they want. I think that's just beautiful, because you don't have then any limitation. Of course, you have limitation, but no arbitrary limitation that a software vendor that would be too slow to implement, or because it wouldn't fit their business model would do. But because it's so overwhelming, because you can just do anything. You say, oh, I want my own version of YouTube and I want to customize it with whatever I want. It's just too much in terms of work and creativity, but then doing it together and through the experience, of course, of people who actually tried before or tried it in a different way. I think that's the kind of experience that is, first, it's amazing. I really recommend on a personal level to participate to such events, but also, yeah, that is so much more efficient than just being on your own, developing your own solution. I think it's extremely efficient.
Well, this is really interesting. Me personally, I didn't know about these options. So I think it's a very good point for digital coalitions to focus on open source and to share experience with open source, so that we there is more freedom, like you put it. I really like that point. Julia, what do you think? Could you sum up the role for digital coalition?
Yeah, I very much agree with what Fabian has said. I believe this should be more of a platform where all the involved stakeholders can meet and run discussions as panels, discussions as such, but it should be also exactly the resource place, because as we are providing, for example, the Be Safe Online program, there are tons of other organizations that provide with various materials, but it's all spread out, and many times the target groups are not really aware of availability of materials as such. So I could imagine it to be sort of a platform that connects teachers and parents and provide with resources as such. And I think that already itself will be very useful and very appreciated, because from the experience we have with the teachers, they say, we know there are tons of platforms out there. We just don't know where to find them, and we don't know which one we should choose, which are recommended. So yeah, guide parents and teachers through what's available there, and what kind of quality is behind that, and what kind of material is available, so people can actually choose it from one place. I know it's ideal word, and probably this will never work this way, but this could be the direction.
Yes, I totally agree. The only limit to that is that everyone says that we need a platform, and then you have thousands of platforms. So I think
yes,
it's really we should really focus on the quality of the platform, and really focus on the transferability, so that people really can find it and use it, even though it would be it would, for example, take longer to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Julia, very much.
You.
And Lucia, do you have any message for digital coalition? What we should focus on?
I think national digital coalition skills and job support parents is possible through effective prevention and education. At second, students and teachers by technical specific troubleshooting support, methodological support for schools, cybersecurity recommendation and standards. In education by strategy, action plans, crisis management. In preventive projects, awareness through and current information. Increase interests in cybersecurity issues and message. We must hesitate or be shy to ask a question and look for answer together. But nobody is perfect, and without experience, there is no experience for safe behavior. in cybersecurity, even in everyday life. In summary, I want some basic pillars. At first, central systems for notice and forbidden keywords such as child porn, hate crime, extremism. At second, security, school infrastructure, security audits, monitoring of systems. At third, education, prevention, and support. Some project like digital fort nests, maybe. And at first, digital trust, responsibility, motivation, and cooperation, and at the end, mission. Let's meet the future with digital confidence. That's all.
Yeah, there are new words connected to digital. I very like the last one, or one of the last ones, digital trust and digital confidence. So with that, I would like to close the panel. Thank you all, to Julia, Fabienne, and to you, Lucie. And I really enjoyed it, and I passed the floor to Josef.
Thank you, Lucy, and thank to all the panelists. Thank you for the thrilling discussion. Really, thank you for that. It's an interesting and important